Good afternoon, everyone. This week I'm coming to you back home from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm joined with Dr. Susan Belser. She's a director and general manager here of Riverside Wellness Center in the greater Philadelphia area. Good afternoon, Dr. Belser.
Hey Kyle, thanks for having me.
So this video is going to be about marketing and really what sets your business apart from the other businesses, other wellness centers that are here in the Philadelphia or New York City, greater New York City area. Can you tell me a little bit more about what type of work you do and what your business is?
Sure. I run a multi-practitioner holistic center, including chiropractic care, massage therapy, nutrition, exercise, acupuncture, and other natural health modalities and practitioners.
Okay.
We pretty much draw from different parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Okay. So I have a few questions today. My first question to you is, all these are more related to marketing. What sets your business apart from the others in the area?
Mm-hmm.
My first question would be, what sets your business apart from your competitors?
That's a great question, in that when my practice was beginning in the 90s, there was a lot of things happening with insurance and managed care that was affecting a lot of practices and centers. What I chose to do was maintain my practice outside of the HMO managed care. If this makes, which I won't go into too much here, but what it meant was that if our wellness center wasn't on somebody's list, then out of network they might have to pay a little bit of a higher deductible or copay. So what we decided to do was to make sure that we had an office and staff and an environment and services that people, every time they left, would feel that what they gained by coming to us was much more than they paid for, and they found it worth maybe spending a little bit more to come to see us.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so my second question would be, what are some unique marketing efforts that you have utilized over the years at your office?
What I found over time is that print advertising for a business like ours didn't necessarily make a lot of difference. It was good for name recognition, right? We would keep the practice and the practitioners in front of people's minds when they would read it in the local papers or different things.
Right.
However, most people don't pick their personal practitioners, their doctors, just randomly, and so I would say like 90% at least of the people that came to us were by referral of current clients. Now then you can ask, well then where did you at least get your initial clients from?
Yeah.
And because that's important. So that again was really personal when I was able to meet somebody in the community or do talks in the community at organizations, or some of the other practitioners were able to get out to yoga studios, different places. People love personal contact.
Right.
And then when they relate to the practitioner would be more likely when they'd come in.
Right.
And as our base grew, then those people would refer friends and family, which was our largest draw. I will say early on, when the practice was smaller, I wrote a column in one of the local monthly papers. And there was, every month, I got some exposure through the column, and even though I had an ad in that small paper, that's, again, not what brought people in. It was the credibility of being a columnist. So when people would see me out at, the local grocery store, and they'd recognize me from my picture on the column, and say, oh, I remember all your articles, and people would say that even like a couple years after I even stopped writing them. That's what they would remember.
So being really active in the local community, you feel has been a positive, a good way that you have marketed your business.
Absolutely. I did some personally. I did some things in the local schools about health. For little kids, for grammar school, for middle school. Yeah.
What has your online marketing presence been like? I know your business. You've been in Riverside Wellness Center, has been in business for many years, but recently, what has your online marketing presence been like in your office, in your wellness center?
As we got used to and learned about online marketing, we definitely have an email list, and we'll send out emails periodically about what's happening at the practice. workshops that are being taught either in office or in other locations. We'll
Right.
definitely send email blasts out, so we try to collect emails as people come into the practice to make sure that we can keep in touch with them.
Okay.
Facebook events. Sometimes we'll post Facebook events that people can see and invite,
Right.
them to, and they can click on that.
What-
On occasion, I actually have done that in print as well.
Okay.
If it was a bigger it was a bigger happening, then maybe the print. Again, that didn't bring a lot of people in, but it made them continuing aware of all the things that we had going on in terms of education.
Okay. And what was your frequency of these email blasts? You would say on average. What was the average frequency of how often you do these?
Honestly, that varied, and I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, right? Of course, they'd go out more frequently when there was more going on. Sometimes they were weekly.
Okay.
Sometimes they were just once a month.
Okay.
We didn't want to blast things too often. At one point, there was a newsletter
Right.
that went out like once a month,
Okay.
and people enjoyed reading that. So certainly not daily or anything that
Right. Nothing too often.
right, but enough to keep in touch and keep people aware of what's happening.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my third question would be, what do you feel creates a value for your customers in your wellness center? What do you feel creates a value for them?
A
when
value?
they come to visit you in your business?
Yeah.
What do they feel? What do you feel that they, based on feedback from them, that they feel a real value, a deal or a good value for what the services that you provide?
Right. I think my answer to that question would be, when you say a good deal and value, I never wanted to have the cheapest place,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And I'm not saying there's right or wrong to anything. Practitioners have to do what they feel is right, and I always wanted a practice that I would want to go to, right? So
quality over just getting people in and
over
getting
the
out.
cheapest price.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. So I always had environments that were beautiful.
Mhm.
They were well appointed. They were comfortable. They were homey.
Well
they were
maintained.
pretty.
Yeah.
Well maintained. Staff were always very well trained,
Right.
and not only in their jobs, front desk or insurance or behind the scenes with clients,
Right.
but how their communication, their eye contact, their welcoming of patients, how they learn to answer questions effectively, and not, if somebody wasn't understanding the nuances
Right.
of changing how you're saying it so that the communication is what the person can understand.
Yeah. Right.
And that would be about not only things like insurance or financial things, but also the education of holistic health and wellness.
Right.
Because some people come in thinking they want one thing, when really we identify that their needs are something a bit different.
Okay.
So they need education about how the body heals, how they can achieve what their goals are.
Mhm.
And then sometimes instead of, that's not what I came here for, more than likely, at least I would get people saying, why didn't anybody explain this to me like this before?
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really appreciate the information, and it would change their lives. Instead of just getting treatment and then going back home, they would learn a whole new lifestyle, so they gradually need us less, actually.
Right.
Right, but
yeah.
then them and their families, and they bring in the kids, and we saw, pediatrics, and we saw a lot of ages of people, and we're able to support them in a holistic lifestyle.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my fourth and final question for today would be, what avenues for marketing have you found to be the most effective, and have these changed over the years versus from when you started, your business first started receiving clients, even to now?
Right. So, admittedly, there was no internet when I began my
Okay.
practice.
Right.
And so again, personal contact was actually crucial. Where I'd go out, I'd carry some cards, and when it came up in conversation, I'd be like, I'm a new chiropractor in the area, with a holistic, wellness center, and then it would just go on from there. And I also learned, and this is just a little nuance, but I learned to act as if. Like if I met somebody and they say, "Oh, you're the new chiropractor down the street," because they saw the sign.
Right.
How are things going? Instead of, "Oh, well, we're just getting started. It's kind of slow," right? It's
Right.
like I might have just had 2 people that day because it was
Right.
only my second day in practice or whatever it was.
Right.
But I would say, I'm so happy to be here in the community. So far, it's going great, and and over time, it grew.
Right.
Because I've always felt it was important to have some confidence, and just the fact that I opened my doors,
Right.
right? So I guess I presented myself in it with a bit more confidence, even
Okay.
though I was new.
And do you feel that this is in contrast to the way the marketing efforts of the other competitors that you may have in the area? Do you feel like they have marketed themselves in a different way than how you have chosen to?
Yes, some do, and again, this is not right or wrong or anything. I became known, as did the practice and the practitioners in the wellness center. I believe we became known as a place that was for overall health. It
Right.
wasn't. We were not just focused on pain management.
Because the services you
And-
did offer were quite varied.
They were
Right.
very varied and comprehensive and extremely tailored to the person's needs.
Mhm.
It was not cookie cutter.
Right.
It was not the same for everybody. So people knew they were getting a lot of personal attention. Hence, then, I would say that sometimes our clients, our patients, got better faster and had better long-term results
Right.
simply because of the education that they got.
Okay.
The awareness, because we always saw we were their team, and they're part of the team. We're not just bringing people in to fix them. They need to take responsibility to get the results that they want,
Right.
and we provided them with little classes and workshops and all kinds of support
Right.
that allowed them to get the information that they really wanted and needed and
Right.
kind of were hungry for.
Right.
And I think that that's what we did really well. People knew that we would provide them information, and then they'd feel confident referring
Right.
because they were kind of proud to refer their friend. Like, go see her.
So it
right?
seems like based on what you've heard you said, is that referrals seem to be quite a large part of the business.
It was the biggest part of the practice. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very cool.
for sure. And we were always proud of that because people that we liked and fit our practice
Right.
tended to refer people like them.
Right.
Right? So the person on the street that wants to look in the yellow pages and let's just get, one treatment for some pain, but isn't really interested in more levels of health and wellness,
Right.
our practice wouldn't be for them, and so
Right.
they're better off going to somebody that's just addressing
More
pain
traditional.
management. Yeah.
Right.
And so, the right people would come that sort of fit for us, and that's what we wanted. We weren't there for every person,
Right.
but everybody kind of finds where they need to be, and I think we got pretty good at that.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today. So that's actually all I have for. You pretty much answered all my questions in detail, in detail today. Thank you for joining me, and maybe we'll see you in a next video. Okay.
Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
time, Kyle.
Okay, everyone, that concludes my video on marketing here with Dr. Susan Belzer of Riverside Wellness Center here in the greater Philadelphia area. I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye-bye.